Well, it's insulting to America. Like you said, it doesn't matter what side you're on or which guy it was. You can't have violence in politics, and to make sure to think that's okay or to downplay it and say that it's a hoax in some sort of way, that's doing a disrespect to everybody you served in this country who is currently serving. That's just ignorant.
Yay Networks.
Hey guys, episode 55. It's hotter than a volcano down here. Something's up with our air conditioning. Of course that would happen when you're losing your job.
Wow, jump right in, huh?
I know.
It's not that hot. I'll be hot by the end, but
no, it's hot in here. I've been running around the house today because we're going to Mexico and we're leaving Wednesday for Mexico. And I did the front yard. I didn't do the backyard because our grass is kind of burnt a little bit. So I left that alone. And then I had a pack for the boys and I. And then I cleaned up the house a little bit because my biggest thing when I go on vacation, I want to come back to my house clean and spotless. I don't want to come back home from vacation and there be laundry, there be anything that I have to do. Is anybody else like that?
No, I think I'm like that for sure because you're going to have enough laundry to do when you get back.
And then when I get back from vacation as well, I am that person. I have to unpack as soon as I get home. I have to take off my clothes from the plane, put on something else. I either hop in the shower, depending on what's going on. Sometimes if the boys are being crazy, I don't have time to hop in the shower and change my clothes. But I definitely change my clothes from being on the plane because I get so grossed out by the airline. I always feel sick too every time I fly, being on a plane.
I think you're kind of wore out from vacation and then traveling. And then, you're just ready you want a nice comfy house and stuff when you get home.
Yeah. Hopefully it's just a little fluke and our AC just somehow cuts on.
We might be doing something wrong too, because we just had a guy come out to check everything and he said it was all good, but I don't know what we're doing wrong. But at this point,
it was working. And then our friend Scotty came, he messed it up. So Scotty, I'm calling you out.
No,
because he's like, it's hot in your basement. And then I turned it on and then it's been messed up since.
I think we talk about our air conditioning every week.
Because last summer, towards the end of summer, the same exact thing happened, but it was upstairs.
But we had a regulator on our air conditioning
that
from
the previous owners had.
Right, from the previous owners. So we got that, they come out and take that off, and I thought that was going to fix the problem because I guess we live in an area where if everybody's using the AC at one time, it only gives you so much air. But we got that regulator taken off, so I don't know why it's not working. I have no idea. It's like going to a mechanic. I don't know what's happening in there.
Yeah, and all you can do is just listen to what the person tells you. That
right.
comes.
And then write them a check for $400 for doing nothing.
No, the guy that serviced ours, he did great. He did really good. He was so...
he was good, but except our air conditioning doesn't work, so he's not that great.
Well, I do think it's something with this house. I almost think it's too big, it just can't handle.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. We talked enough about the air conditioning, so stay cool out there.
Yeah, we had the heat wave too. That was really hot, but I'm not complaining. I actually liked it. I felt like we were in North Carolina. The hotter, the better.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, I just love it. I love walking. I took walks. I made sure I was hydrated. I carried water with me. And then just like that, it's almost like being in a sauna. You love saunas. What's the difference?
Well, I got to be prepared for the heat,
Yeah, you wouldn't survive.
What are you talking
about? In North Carolina. When I talk to them and they tell me it's hot in North Carolina, it has to be hot because they thrive in heat. My mom and dad. My dad will play tennis for hours when it is so hot. My mom just sits out there and just sweats and she loves it. And it gives her more energy. And my mom's that person that doesn't wear shoes either and just walks around barefoot. But she just loves it. And Louisiana, whenever I was a kid and my parents, we lived in Louisiana, my mom was so sad when we moved because she was like, she loved like those muggy, hot summers.
Yeah, no. That's how it gets in Chicago, like in August. It's no good.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Chicago weather. But anyways.
Cool weather story. I feel like we're in an elevator and the doors aren't opening. I'm like, oh my God, is this thing over yet? I just want to get out of this conversation.
Okay, one thing that I do want to talk about is I want to talk about Trump and the attempted assassination. I know this is coming out and it probably will be old news and not as shocking. But today I was in my car and
to explain to the audience, we're going on vacation, so we're filming a week early. So it's actually like Monday. So we realize we're way behind the news, but it's something that just happened 2 days ago as of this taping.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my 5-year-old, we were in the car today, and he was asking me questions about it, which I don't talk politics with my kids. I didn't talk about what happened with Trump around my kids. And Leighton was asking me questions. He goes, Mom, there was a guy that got shot in the ear, and there was somebody on a roof that was trying to shoot him. And so I was explaining it to Lawson and Leighton. It was so weird talking to them about politics because Lawson never talks. Lawson was like, oh, Joe Biden's our president. I didn't even know if he knew because he's 7.
Yeah, but I think they learn in like first grade.
I know, but it's just something I just don't talk about politics. Because I was telling the boys today, I was saying, don't talk politics with your friends. Don't talk stuff we talk about as a family in our house. Don't talk about that with other families and with your friends. And I'm like, it's rude.
Do they understand that? Do they get it?
I think Lawson does. Leighton was asking, so do we like Trump? Do we like Biden?
No, he didn't.
Yes, I swear to you. I swear. Because he goes, why did somebody try to hurt him?
Oh, but he didn't understand the significance of his question.
No.
Yeah.
And then he was asking, do we like Trump? And then he goes, who's Biden? And I was like, well, he's the president. Trump was the former president. And then he was asking those questions, but I was like, I don't know. It's kind of good to have those conversations with them, from them hearing it from me instead of seeing it on YouTube, because who knows what they're seeing on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I did want to say, whatever side you're on, Republican or Democrat, what happened to Trump, that's terrible. What, somebody trying to assassinate the president. And then I was reading the comments and people were saying, oh, too bad he missed. And then people saying it was set up and things like that. It's like, how about be like, I hope this person's okay. If it was Joe Biden, I would be saying the exact same thing. Like, have some compassion. Some father was protecting his family and he died protecting his family. And he was at this rally and no one should go to these rallies, Republican or Democrat, and lose their life. Whether you're whether you're the president, you're a potential president. Yeah, it's no person.
There should be no violence in politics, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And nobody should. It's just ridiculous that happened. And there was this nice, sweet message from the guy that lost his life from his daughter. She posted it on Instagram. And she wrote on there, like, the media won't tell you. He was shielding me and my mom. He pushed my mom to the ground to protect us. And I don't know, like this whole week, or not this whole week, but since I saw that with Trump, it like made me want to cry and it made me like angry. And it just like made me sad that I think about JFK. When he was assassinated, I'm sure everyone came together around that time, and there was no social media then. And if you were Republican or Democrat, whether you liked him or not, people were probably like, that is horrible what happened. He just got killed in front of his wife. And people now are saying, oh, too bad he missed. Like, that is so rude. And if you're one of those people, like, you really need to go talk to somebody.
Well, it's insulting to America. You know, like you said, it doesn't matter what side you're on or which guy it was. You can't have violence in politics, and to make sure to think that's okay or to downplay it and say that it's a hoax in some sort of way, that's doing a disrespect to everybody you served in this country who is currently serving. That's just ignorant. You know, like when Sandy Hook happened, people said that Alex Jones guy, I don't know if I don't want to get too into weeds here with politics, but he said that was a hoax. And that's insulting to everyone who was killed there and all the families that had to suffer through that, just like this family who had to suffer through losing their dad because they went to a rally. And people are like, good because they don't like Trump. I don't care what side you're on. You don't say good if that happened to Biden or anybody else. No. You don't push for violence in politics. And what I do like, again, this is only 2 days later, so I'm sorry if we're boring you guys going back in time a little bit here, but Biden did come out and give a speech, and he said there is no place for that. We need to come together as a country. Trump hasn't spoke as of yet. The Republican convention is starting today, and it'll go on, this whole week. And he's also said, we've also got to come together. He's taking a step back. I don't know if he's reflecting, maybe his life flashed in front of his eyes, but no matter who, I'm sure he has some feelings about the whole thing too. No matter if you think Trump is whatever you think he is, I'm sure he's got some feelings about like, oh my God, my life just flashed in front of my eyes. I almost got assassinated here. We have to come together as a country, and maybe he'll downplay the rhetoric a little bit. Hopefully Joe Biden does too, because where they were at in the last debate, insulting each other, talking about their golf game, we got to get united as a country. No matter who's our president, no matter who's going to take charge, we have to unite in some way. Because now I feel like it's okay to just throw whatever stones you want to the opposing political party and think that's okay, or you're going to get likes the more violent you are. Oh man, you missed by an inch. No, that's not cool, man. That's not cool. That's not America.
It's someone's life. That's someone's husband, someone's dad. And I was reading that his son was at one of the debates he had.
Whose son?
Trump's son was at one of those rallies before. What if his son was standing there with him and his son got hit? Like all the things like that. Like it's so sad to me, and it just makes me so sad. So I'm hoping that something bad and scary like this, hopefully everybody can come together and be like, okay, we will all unite. We will all be nicer to each other. We will all respect each other more, hopefully.
Yeah, what happened to discourse? Like just having an argument about anything. What happened to just having discourse? And every time I don't know a lot about everything, but I like to have conversations with people that I don't agree with on certain things. No matter, not just politics, it could be anything. But when you don't agree with somebody because of their stance, they want to take away your life, your family, your whole career, say it's okay if someone gets shot. That's not okay. To have the discourse, the level where we're at, where the bar is set as discourse as far as Americans go, we need to tone all that. We need to bring the tension down. We can't be calling for people's jobs because you don't agree with what they say. Maybe sit down and learn from somebody. We don't have conversations anymore. Social media is not a conversation. The way we communicate now is not the way humans are supposed to communicate. You're supposed to be out in your community, talking to people, even if you don't agree with them. Oh, you think this way? Well, I think this way. Or I grew up in this place and you grew up in this place. If you grew up in a city area as opposed to an urban area, you guys are going to, every single aspect of who you met and who your family is and how you grew up and where you grew up makes you the person that you are. It doesn't make you prejudice, or maybe it does in some cases, but overall, it doesn't make you a bad person. It's just how you grew up. And when you travel the world, you have a little bit more grace for going outside the country because you're like, wow, I'm in this person's country. I want to abide by their rules or learn their customs. Why can't we do that more in America? Why don't we give more grace and sit down and go to a restaurant you've never gone to before or visit communities that you've never gone? We don't do that anymore in America. People just don't go into those neighborhoods or don't want to go where someone opposes them, or then they just put their anger, which is also self-reflection on themselves, onto the social media. And that's how we communicate now. And it's it's obviously a huge problem.
I like when someone doesn't have the same beliefs or same disagrees with me, not to fight with, someone that I could sit with and talk to politely,
Right.
not offend each other, not name call each other, sit and talk, and we both would probably learn something from it.
Absolutely.
But now you can't. And I feel like leaving North Carolina and moving to California, I learned so much from other people. You know, you've matured more because you're not around the same people that you grew up with. You have to get out there and talk and get uncomfortable. And when I was in my bubble in North Carolina, that was comfortable, that was safe. And then when I went to California, it was like so intimidating to me. And I was very intimidated by people, and it was so big compared to what I was used to. But it really helped me grow and helped me blossom more by moving away.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people are ignorant, and maybe myself in certain cases too, but I always try to see the other side, you know, just speaking of like from the show. And I always try to see it from a different angle, because you ever hear, you know, it's where you come from, you know, like if I meet someone, I'm from Chicago, and I meet someone like from Boston, like, oh, we kind of have similar values. We have sports teams, and this is, you know, or we're Midwest and we're like a beer drinking kind of town. And it's just where you're from is who you are. It doesn't mean you're prejudiced towards wherever you come from. I want to sit, that's why I love traveling. I want to sit down and talk, tell me how you grew up. And now we have like this social credit score where people don't even know what they're talking about, and they'll just insult someone else. So someone else on social media likes their stuff, and they're like, you know what you're talking about, but your whole thing is like on your, whatever your handle is to describe yourself. You're like, peace around the world. And then all of a sudden I look and they're like, hey, you should get your son's haircut and kill yourself. Peace around the world. That's you're full of shit. You're so full of shit, and you're out here bringing your insecurities on to everybody else. And that I'm kind of been drifting away with everything going on from social media, or at least not reading it. I'd kind of put something out there to stay current, and then I don't even read it. Joe Rogan has this saying, like, post and ghost. Don't even read it, because it kind of depresses me. Even like flipping through social media, it kind of depresses me.
I feel like everybody, though, that listens to this podcast, a lot of them are followers on our Instagram, that they're great. I feel like they always write the most positive things and are always so nice. And if there is one bad one, they're normally after that person.
Well, I think
stick up.
I think America is great, and I think 80% of the people here are good people, and they're kind of moderate people. I think it's the 10% on the left or right, or just in general, you know, you have 10 people in a room, one of them's bound to be nutty, you know? And I think that's just the numbers. Not everybody's on social media, right? I have friends that don't even have social media, and they're very level-headed. It's just the 10% of the people make up 90% of the content on social media. That's what Tristan Harris said. And he kind of helped invent or like at least social media wise. So that's the social dilemma. We talk about it all the time, but I always go down this rabbit hole, and we still haven't fixed this problem. But just to put a button on this before we take a break, I hope both candidates are serious about bringing the tone down and the heat down, you know, in America, because we are so at each other's throats. And maybe this is kind of a wake up call to be like, listen, it's gone too far. Everything has gone too far. You know what I mean? Canceling people, trying to take people's jobs away, just being at each other's throats. Hopefully the temperature on America simmers down before the election.
Yes. And before we take a break, prayers to, I'm not positive of his last name, so I don't want to mess it up, but prayers to the man who lost his life in Pennsylvania, and for Trump too.
Okay, take a break. It's so important to me that the supplements I take are of the highest quality, and that's why I've been drinking one for over a year and a half.
I have been drinking AG1 since January, so 7 months of drinking AG1. I can always tell whenever I miss my AG1, I never feel sick. I never have that icky stomach, because zinc, if I take that alone, always makes me feel sick to my stomach, and I feel good.
Yeah, and you know what I love about AG1 too? It's that it's constantly searching for how to do things better at 51 different iterations of their formula.
I will say this. AG1's team relies on expert lead scientific research, sourcing ingredients for potency and purity.
It's tested for over 950 contaminants and banned substances, while the industry standard only tests for about 10. Can you believe that?
I know drinking my AG1, I'm covering my nutritional bases and setting myself up for success.
And we always talk about that beautiful scooper and the shaker that it comes with.
It feels so important. Somebody actually wrote me a DM and was like, you do feel important with the scooper.
Well, my body's important to me, and that makes me feel important as well. So if you want to replace your multivitamin and more, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packets with your first subscription. That's where you get that shaker and that bottle at drinkag1.com/togetherness. That's drinkag1.com/togetherness. MESS. You got to check it out.
Welcome back.
Wow. So those of you who stuck with us through that political talk, because nobody wants to hear that, but it's important. It's what everybody's kind of talking about, but unfortunately people pick sides. And
well, I'm not trying to get anybody mad.
I know I'm
trying to,
but that's what's weird. It's hard to even just have a conversation, even if you're not picking a side. It's hard to have a conversation without turning people off. You know, that's where we're at. But let's get past that a little bit. There's some other things that happened again this past weekend. Poor Richard Simmons. I mean, there was a couple people. I feel like we're doing an episode of Daily Blast Live.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like Richard Simmons passed away, and then this whole thing with Trump happened and took over the news. Shannen Doherty passed away.
She's a sex therapist, right?
Dr.
I know
Ruth,
who you're.
right?
I don't know her name, but I know who. I can picture.
Am
her.
I saying it, Dr. Ruth? That's not right, is it?
I don't know. I don't want to be wrong.
Isn't it Dr. Ruth Riley? Why am I saying that wrong?
Our friend Bob, it was friends with Richard Simmons, and when I first moved to LA, he took me and you to aerobics class. Wasn't it aerobics? It was like one of his classes, and we got to do the dance and everything. I do remember.
We showed that on the show today.
My mom, I don't know how I remember this. I feel like my mom was watching Oprah. Maybe I'm making this up in my head, but I feel like he was on Oprah or something, and I was little. And I remember him crying, and there was a woman that was heavier set and then lost all this weight, and her and Richard Simmons were crying, and they were doing an interview, and he was so sweet to her, and she's like, "You just changed my life." I feel like I remember that, my mom just sitting there watching.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing. What do you, yeah. I mean, everyone remembers Richard Simmons from the 80s. He was a character.
Well, I mean, I was born in 86. So, I mean, he was probably like way before me. I'm just saying, like, I do remember being a kid and my mom having stuff on. And like, I just remember people like dancing and cheering and me being
Sweating
so young.
to the oldies.
Well, I mean, being so young and like seeing Happy and like wanting to watch that.
Yeah, he was that guy, you know, we were lucky enough to meet him, and he was the guy that you wanted to meet. You know, he had all that energy. He was exactly what you saw on TV, you know, so.
I saw a thing with Pauly Shore.
Right.
And Pauly Shore looks just like him.
Yeah, and Richard Simmons, I don't know. I feel like
he was going to play Richard Simmons.
He did. It's coming out.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I thought Richard Simmons said no and they stopped it.
No, he wasn't really for it.
Oh.
But Pauly went ahead and did it. But Richard Simmons kind of disconnected. He kind of disconnected from everybody for like a decade. No one knows what happened to him. But I am glad that like the last year he came back on social media and he felt the love. I don't know what he was feeling inside, but he got to feel the love like from all the people that loved him, you know, through social media. So that's a good part of social media. And he was kind of active on there. And he died the day after his birthday.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, but I'm glad he got to feel some of that love because I don't know what was happening with him. I don't know if a lot of people do towards the end there, but yeah, it's unfortunate. He was such a big staple and part of America, like growing up in the 80s and 90s.
Well, if you think of the 80s and you think of fitness, you think of Richard Simmons.
Yeah, he changed the game.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I love his energy. And he was so nice when we met him. I think, didn't he make you take your shirt off or something?
Yeah, I told you we played the video today on the show.
Oh, you did? You didn't tell me that.
I just did. You don't listen. You just keep talking.
Oh, yeah. But I don't even really, I remember doing something like this, but I don't really remember all of it. But Bob was with us, and Bob, oh my gosh, Bob's so funny.
Yeah, Richard Simmons made me take my shirt off, and then remember he took it and he was wiping his sweat with it.
I don't remember that.
I was like, damn, Richard.
Well, there you go. Did you save your shirt?
I probably still have it somewhere because I hold on to everything.
Oh my gosh, Jeff! He was wearing this tank top yesterday, and I did laundry today. I was folding it, and it had like 5 holes in it.
Oh, I love that tank top. I'm keeping it forever.
It's the worst.
The baby blue one?
Yeah.
But that
it's
has
like
character.
We've talked before. We've said this. I thought it was your Big Brother tank top. You said it wasn't, but
no, it's not.
Yeah, but it
had a logo on there, so I couldn't wear it on Big
anytime
Brother.
I think of Jeff, I think of in the summertime flip-flops, the same shorts you wear every single year, and a tank top and your Catholic cross.
What shorts?
Like the same type of shorts that you wear. You just have this look, and that's how like I picture you.
Well, what are we gonna do?
And then 90210, Shannen Doherty.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Brenda Walsh.
That two people from 90210 have passed, and they're all so young.
Yeah. So the characters' names. I was a huge fan of 90210.
Everybody was.
I loved it. But no, not really. Did I tell that story about like in college when I was watching that and everyone's like, what?
No.
Yeah. So like in college when I was playing football, it came on in the fall and it would be on Wednesdays. And I loved that show like in high school. And I remember everyone's like, what are you doing later? I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing later? I'm going to go watch 90210. And they're like, you watch that show? And by the end of like the football season, there was like 10 guys in there like watching 90210 with me because they secretly liked it, but they weren't allowed to say, they felt insecure about saying they liked 90210.
I feel like I've shared this before, but my mom was in her 30s when 90210 aired. And I remember my dad was always out of town, and my mom lined up me, my brother, and sister on the couch. She made us all grapes, and she was ironing. She would always iron his shirts, and she would put it out in the living room. And I remember us sitting there watching. I was 5 with the first episode when 90210 aired, and I remember sitting on the couch eating grapes with my brother and sister. And my sister watched it all the way, even when they brought Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot what her name was, what her character name was.
I forgot.
But my sister was obsessed. I watched it up until, I think I kind of quit watching when Tiffany Amber Thiessen was on.
Oh, really? I watched it all the way to the end.
To the end?
Nate, was it Nate who owned the Peach Pit? Nat?
Yeah.
Joey Tata? I remember that's his real name. He passed away too.
Oh, really?
A while back, yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then you showed me this thing about like Dylan and Brenda are back together in the Peach Pit in the sky.
That was a really good show.
I don't know. Yeah, I loved it.
Well, because it was drama.
But there was like, what was the other ones like that came out
Melrose
after?
Place?
Yeah, so I was a 90210 guy. I didn't watch
Melrose Place. I felt like was more older, like my parents' age. My parents loved Melrose Place, but I was never allowed to watch it. I would, okay.
Why, was it scandalous?
Yeah, and there's like sex and everybody sleeping with each other. Oh. And they live in this apartment complex, and everybody like hooks up, and there's just like drama always going on, affairs. And I was never allowed to watch it. And my mom would put me to bed, and there was like this one little spot, like a creep spot, and her and my dad would go downstairs and watch it. And I would stay upstairs where I could see the TV, and I would watch. I would like sneak and watch upstairs.
You watch Melrose Place?
Yeah.
From the creep spot?
From like the little creep spot and just watch. And my parents never knew, and I would sneak and watch it.
You see anything good?
I don't remember. I was 5 when that came out. But those were good shows. I don't think anybody really watches cable nighttime television anymore. There's nothing good on. It's more so game shows.
Yeah.
Or people watch that NCIS.
People love that show.
No.
Criminal
never.
crime is taken over, I think, everything.
Or it's reruns.
Yeah.
Reruns of Friends. You know what? I don't think I've ever really sat down and watched a whole Friends episode.
Really?
Everyone always talks, like, I feel like you always reference Seinfeld.
Definitely.
Never seen Seinfeld. And Friends, I've never actually sat down. I mean, I've seen it, but I've never sat down and watched a whole episode.
It's pretty funny. It holds up.
Does it?
Yeah.
My
if you go back and watch it.
mom never liked Friends, and I think that's why.
Yeah, it definitely holds up, and there's a lot of good lines from there. I quote them sometimes. That's all I have. My only knowledge is from like movies and TV shows.
Yeah, I feel like TV now, it's like if you're going to watch something, you need to watch Netflix, Apple TV, Hulu, shows like that where it's like good.
Yeah, like again, going back to like what we were talking about before about like where you come from and what, like we didn't have Jewish people like in our immediate neighborhood. Like when I grew up, it was all like Catholics and Italians and Polish, and everything I know about like the Jewish religion is from
Tori?
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, I thought you meant Tori from his work.
No, but
she's Jewish.
I know, but I always drop lines from Curb Your Enthusiasm. She's like, "Oh yeah," and then she'll like explain it. I'm like, "That's another line from Curb Your Enthusiasm," because I just say it all through like Curb Your, like what Larry says on the show, and I don't even really know what he's saying half the time. But then Tori will explain it to me.
See, it's okay. Curb is okay.
Oh my God, it's the best.
Well, Jeff wants to watch it late at night when I'm about to go to sleep, and I say this all the time. I cannot sit down and try to go to sleep and hear F this, F that, and like screaming and angry and mad.
But it's funny angry.
Not real. I don't find it that funny.
Then you wouldn't like Seinfeld either, because it's the exact same thing.
See, and that's what I'm saying. My mom
without the F-bombs.
My mom never liked Seinfeld either, so I've never seen a Seinfeld.
See, I don't.
episode.
Again, going back to where you grew, I don't know if we could get along.
Probably not. I'm telling you, if Jeff and I were never on Big Brother, we would have never. This would never be.
And no, it's good to be the yin and the yang of stuff, but I don't know. I enjoy it. You know what else I enjoy? A nice little break.
Let's take one. Welcome back. Jeff wanted to say something.
No, I was telling Jordan during the break, I'm like, this is going to be like 2 weeks old, so we're giving our, opinion on something that just happened today, which is 2 days after like the assassination attempt. But in reality, it's going to be 2 weeks old. So it was so impactful, though. I think it was a very memorable day, not in a great way, but a memorable weekend with how much news we got. You know what I mean? People passing away, the assassination attempt. So that's kind of why we're covering it now. But again, sorry, we're going back in time a little bit here.
No, you have to say that. That's terrible what happened. And I wanted to bring it up. I didn't post anything on my socials because you post a 15-second clip and then everybody comes at you. Why not talk about it?
We are talking about it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Jeff's like, why are we talking about this? This is 2 weeks old, but I wanted to talk about it.
Jordan's fired up today.
No, I'm not. Jeff's fired up today. Jeff's in a bad mood today because he's got a million things going.
Yeah, I just walked in the door from work, so I just kind of like threw on a shirt and then jumped over here.
And I have to take Lawson. He's going to a football camp tonight, so I have to take him to a football camp. And I have Leighton over here asking what we're going to do. I'm ready for. Well, when y'all listen to this, we'll be back from Mexico. I'm ready to get to Mexico. I'm not excited yet until I get there. And our 2 friends are coming.
Yeah. It's going to be great. I got to kind of let go of everything because I have a million things on my mind, So once we do vacation, you know, we planned this way back when. That's why we're taking this vacation.
Planned it in January,
Right.
not knowing Jeff was going to lose his job in September.
Obviously.
Or we would, because I'm just waiting for people to be like, well, then why are you going on a vacation? So I just had to say that. We booked it before. We didn't know he was losing his job. But we're going to go. We're going to go enjoy ourselves. So on that note, we are going to end here. Sorry if this episode... Sorry if I offended anybody or if you thought it fell flat. We will be back next week. Thank you. I look like I'm going to a funeral.
No, you don't.
No?
With gold chains? You going to
Italian funeral? Italian wedding? Italian funeral?
Yeah.
But thank you all for continuing to listen, download, subscribe, tagging your friends. And we will see you next week. Have a wonderful week and stay safe.
And starting next week, you could catch us on Mondays and Wednesdays. We're moving to twice a week. So we're going to kind of start fresh. Like I said, we're going to have some guests. We already have some lined up. So we're going to have some guests on and we're going to talk about more current stuff.